You are the one I love.
We must not reproach ourselves for unlived lives.
Are you not happy that Jane is wed to Mr. Collins?
I would rather sleep in a drain than consent to be happy.
The place from which you come is different. Hammersmith. I am having a bit of a strange postmodern moment here.
I cannot marry you. You are not a maid.
I think you're a girl who's a very long way from home.
You're supposed to be so bloody incandescent with integrity, and you misjudge everybody. You misjudge me.
So, I ruined everything with Darcy, and I have absolutely nowhere to go. But that's all right. The worst that can happen is that I just die. The worst is I never see Darcy again. Ever.
Happy face. Happy face.
Why does Swellerendo summon his guests?
What's this?
Do we know?
Pleasure of attending this one.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is a poor host who neglects to keep his guests abreast of local news. I have asked Miss Bingley to be my wife, and she has consented to the task. Thank you for your attention. Dinner is at 6.
You must come. Come.
May I be the first to congratulate.
She's gone where?
It does not say where. It says with whom.
But Lydia doesn't run off with Bingley. She goes with Wickham.
Charles and I are afflicted by the same ennui. Society bores us. Our conversations with Miss Price have persuaded us... Oh, yes, Miss Price! Have persuaded us that more inspiriting company is to be found elsewhere.
Silly girl.
How dare you? How dare you sneer at my daughters when it is you who has infected their minds?
With what, Mrs. Bennet? What have I said to any of you?
That you would marry Mr. Darcy.
Mamma, Mr. Bingley is a gentleman. If he has gone away with Lydia, it can only mean one thing. He intends to make her his wife.
An elopement!
Well,
Mrs. Lydia Bingley. She has no hat fit for town. I must return to Longbourn immediately. Shoes! Shoes! What shoes does she have? Mr. Bennet shall feel the weight of this expense!
Your mother cannot be allowed to believe that.
she can till she is delivered home. Then my father shall have charge of it. It is time he rose from his chair for the good of the family. I urged Bingley to love another. That he should choose my little sister did not occur to me. In unguarded moments, Miss Price, you are given to the queerest ejaculations. You protest something should be quite other than it is. Lizzie should be here for Darcy. Lydia should have gone off with Wickham.
She should marry Wickham, ultimately.
Good Lord. I should now be married to Bingley.
Yes.
I consider our lives and I find I prefer your version. Will you escort my mother home?
I thought you would want to...
Mr. Collins does not care for me to be apart from him. Longbourn is no longer my home, Miss Price. I am no longer my mother's child. I am my husband's wife.
Mrs. Bennet is indisposed?
She is excited by the prospect of a double marriage. Mr. Bingley and Lydia.
I think that unlikely.
Me too, but let's hope we're both wrong because he's run off with her.
What?
Why do you suppose Bingley has done this, Mr. Darcy? Any ideas? Any little twinges of guilt about this situation? No. You don't really do guilt, do you? You do whatever the hell you want and afterwards call it principle. Bye then.
Do you have the grace, I wonder, to wish me well?
Good luck.
That I already have.
Clearly, you and Caroline are made for each other.
If Mr. Bennet has taken it upon himself to walk about the garden, I shall pursue him like a harpy. Hannam! Oh. Hannam! Oh. I said all myself, Mr. Bennet. Oh, Mr. Bennet! The most extraordinary thing!
However extraordinary, madam, it cannot match the adventure that awaits you in your drawing room. Lady Catherine sends us gifts.
Gentlemen, allow me to introduce you to Mrs. Bennet, Mr. Probity Collins, currently resting after his exertions at the dining table, Dr. Elysium Collins, favouring us with a tobacco mix of his own devising, and Mr. Symbol Collins, enlivening a dull Tuesday evening with his amusing trousers.
I trust, madam, you shall come to call me Tinkler.
Mrs. Bennet will dedicate herself to that end. I'm delighted to find Miss Amanda Price of Hammersmith. I cannot yet hear Lydia, which is unusual, but nevertheless...
She is to be married! Mr. Bennet, that is what I tried to say.
Married, madam? Anyone we know?
Mr. Charles Bingley.
This is extraordinary.
Mr. Bennet, might we speak a moment with Mrs. Bennet? So off-piste, it's just insane.
Lydia is to be married? Goodness. It seems barely plausible that she is old enough to cut a slice of cake, let alone keep a husband. Where is this marriage to be? I suppose I am obliged to attend.
Mr. Bennet, may I speak frankly? I think Mrs. Bennet may be mistaken.
What?
Let him read the letter, please.
Poor old Tinkler. He will not want her after this.
You are of the opinion that Mr. Bingley means to despoil Lydia and not marry her?
I am of that opinion, madam, yes. The girl has thrown herself away, my dear. It is a shame. But her dissent cannot be arrested by intemperate demonstrations of contrition in my library.
Mr. Bennet, you can't just read a book. You must do something.
What do you recommend, Miss Price?
I don't know, but... God, you're her father! I'm not suggesting you challenge Bingley to a duel, which is the thing in the novel your wife dreads. But you must at least try to stop Lydia just flinging her maidenhead out the window.
Lydia writes of a place unfettered by convention. Will you take me there? Hammersmith, Miss Price. It is time we visited your house.
Where are we?
Hammersmith, Miss Price. This is where you live.
Mr. and Mrs. Bennet. I think the time has probably come.
There you are! Welcome all. How was the road?
Mr. Wickham, how unexpected.
Is it? Did Miss Price not tell you she asked me to ride ahead to make arrangements?
I quite forgot.
Sir Reginald and Lady Nora are safely on their way to Bath.
Good.
Who, pray, is Sir Reginald?
Miss Price's father, Mrs. Bennet. The house, alas, is quite locked up. The servants absolutely insist on travelling with Sir Reginald and Lady Nora, which is inconvenient, of course, but most devoted.
Lady Nora?
That's a perfectly good name for the wife of a successful fishmonger.
What are you doing here? What's the point in helping me?
Because your face is most amusing when surprised. I do as you do. Perhaps you, Bingley.
Where is Lizzie?
At Bath. When Mamma and Papa go on their expeditions, they always take their guests.
Mr. Wickham, I speak to you as one gentleman to another with the expectation of discretion that entails.
I understand, sir. Whatever you confide shall die inside me.
My youngest daughter, Lydia, has run away with Charles Bingley. I do not know how to proceed. I cannot think how to find my daughter.
Well, surely they're gone to the Jerusalem. That is the inn of note here, is it not, Miss Price? If it is your belief they have come to Hammersmith, we must thither immediately to prevent wrongdoing. Mr. Bennet, sir, permit me to be your guide.
Oh, Mr. Wickham, how fortunate we are to find you here.
Hear that sound, George? That's Jane Austen spinning in her grave like a cat in a tumble dryer.
My child! Oh, my child!
Oh, excellent. Look at this. Find me making a spear. Rousseau, you know, noble savage, so forth. The book you lent me.
Why does my daughter weep, Mr. Bingley?
Fundamental skills we have forfeited through privilege. I expect it's because she's bored. Bored. Our social experiment has proved dispiritingly unchallenging. Hammersmith is not the Amazon.
We brought my daughter here alone. To spend the night with you alone. Tell me, sir, what species of experiment is that?
Well met, well met. Bingley, Miss Lydia and I have just now returned from the opera.
I see.
And the problem with the opera, of course, is one cannot...
Sir, will you have done? Your subterfuge is well-meaning, but it is puerile and demeans us all. There is no opera in Hammersmith. You've just arrived from God knows where, that much is plain. Miss Lydia and I came yesterday and have spent our hours philosophizing.
No.
Although her father would have it, we've been making the beast with two backs.
Time to take the weapons from the wall, Mr. Bingley. Pick up your damn spear and take guard.
Oh, Mr. Bennet!
Take up your stick, damn you! You drivelling, anorcous imbecile!
No! Darcy, do something!
Imbecile, is it?
Charles, put that down!
Drivelling, snivelling, imbecile!
Darcy! Oh! Oh!
Number 18, Clifford Street. Quick as you can. Go!
I've sent for my physician in Mayfair. He will be here within the hour.
In an hour, he could be dead. He's lost half a pint of blood in 2 minutes, Darcy. You do the maths.
Shocking business, bleeding on a fellow's rugs this time of year. For good Lady Catherine's sake.
This physician of yours, Mr. Darcy, can he do stitches?
Stitches? He is not a dressmaker.